Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's the Monday mashup. Sorry for us being a little bit delayed tonight. A few things on, but we got it sorted anyway. Joining me as always, my brother in arms, my cousin Marky. How are we?
I'm all good, cuz. How are you keeping, all right?
Good, yeah, not a bother at all. Great to have you on again, as always, on the Monday mashup. So we should begin, of course, with our sponsors for the Monday mashup.
Yes, Hogan Elite Trophy here. Yeah, again, I've been getting messages about communions and confirmations and all for next year, for next May, and particularly this week. A lot of people message me and stuff. So yeah, just if you have a day, get into me straight away. It is booking up pretty. May is looking pretty busy for next year as well. So, and obviously, we have the Legends games coming up next year as well. Like I mentioned, Leeds Legends game. There's going to be a few more Man United games and the Liverpool game as well. So really looking forward to that. How are you, Jack? And yeah, so loads to look forward to. So, like, if you already haven't, if you everyone in the chat, if you can go onto Instagram and give my page a follow, and go onto Facebook and give it a like,
Jack wants to know, can they have Rob Apter back?
No, we're after 4 on the bounce. Brucey's
Yeah,
after
saying that.
4 on the bounce now. So yeah, I was watching the match here on Saturday. Very good, yeah. So I'm a happy man, happy camper. I think we're up to fourth, Jack. I think I was saying on the league that we up to fourth or fifth or something like that. So yeah, no, doing really well.
Yeah, on a run at the moment, so always good.
And Shells have just been beaten by Pats 3-2. I was just watching a bit of that.
Interesting.
No one wants to win that league, I'm telling you.
Tell you. Right, let's get into our Premier League review, and we start off with Newcastle 1, Man City 1. Man City missing Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri, of course, two huge losses for them.
I thought Newcastle started off very well. I thought, but then obviously they conceded the goal the way they did. I thought Gundogan had a very poor game, if I'm being honest. He was misplacing passes and he just wasn't his normal self. Obviously the big thing is about missing Rodri. It would open up City a bit more, but they went and yeah, great run by Grealish on the left hand side, cut inside, and it was a great finish. Haaland had one of those games where he was very, very quiet. Dan Burn obviously done a good job on him and stuff like that. And then Newcastle got back into obviously the penalty and stuff. I thought, yeah, Jesus, like Pope pulled off some really good saves and stuff like that. And yeah, then I thought Newcastle, if they had Isaac up top, I think he would have created a few problems against City, because they did look very open at times.
They did, yeah, and it was a nice start to the weekend, really, because it was kind of a prelude to how the results were going.
Yeah,
it was kind of interesting that, as Rowan says, results went all as expected.
yeah, nice one,
Absolutely,
Row. Yeah.
absolutely.
Myself and himself had a nice view of the United match yesterday. But yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit.
Absolutely. Fulham, Nottingham Forest 0, Fulham 1. The goal coming again from Raul Jimenez. Good to see, as we said, him back on the score sheet again.
Yeah, it was obviously the penalty, very well taken penalty into the top right hand corner. I thought it was a pretty even game. I thought Forest maybe could have had a penalty as well. If you're given one, you have to give the other, in my opinion. There was enough contact there in Alanya. I think it was Alanya to I can't remember
Yeah.
what the Fulham defender was that caught him, but I thought it was then
Robinson.
Forest had, was it Robinson?
Was it
Yeah.
Robinson? He
I
plays
think
that
there was a
side, doesn't he, Alanya? So
bit, bit of contact there. Yeah, they had a few chances, hit one over the bar. I thought they should have scored from about 8 yards out for us. But yeah, another great win for Fulham. They're playing really good football at the moment as well. And Jimenez, it's great to see him in a bit of form finally, after everything that happened to him.
yeah,
He says,
absolutely.
yeah, you're too right, man. Yeah, too right about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, what's up next then? We have Brentford 1, West Ham 1.
Another goal in the first minute for Brentford. Did I not realise there's another 89 minutes of football to be played then, I've noticed it with them. They start off pretty well, obviously scoring early and get into it. But like there seemed to be a drop off in them, particularly in the last kind of 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes of the games and stuff like that. And if you look at the last 15, 20 minutes of the game, West Ham were really getting into it and creating a few chances and stuff like that, you know. They were playing some good football. Obviously, big question marks over Lopetegui. Some of the results haven't been going their way and stuff. Obviously, Souček comes up and saves them, gets a point, a well-earned point as well. Brentford's obviously going to be a tough place to go to with the style of football they're playing. But I'm just mentioning Buemo again, what a player he is. Like, you know, he's just shown his quality over the last while. Obviously, Tony fecking off to Saudi Arabia hasn't really affected it.
Carvalho doing well there as well. Delighted
As
for the
well,
lad.
yeah, no, 100%. So, yeah, listen, I think a well-earned point for West Ham, and tough place to go to, and it spared their blushes, to be quite honest, because there's a lot of question marks over them this season.
I was saying as well, that was 4 games on consecutive, wasn't it? Where Brentford scored in the first minute. It's a new record.
Yeah. There must be, what was it, City, Spurs, obviously West Ham, and whatever one before that, but Jesus Christ, man, they know how to do it. They're just all out attack. Like that one against Spurs last week was unreal. Like,
absolutely. Next up, Arsenal 4, Leicester 2.
Yeah, again, Arsenal started off pretty well. I thought there could have been, we'll probably get into it, a foul on Vardy in the lead up to Arsenal's first goal. I thought he was dragged back, to be honest with you. But they play some really good football, the intricate pass, and again, like to go 2-0 up, you know, Arteta be going crazy to that they let Leicester back into the game now. It was great. The second goal was a great finish by the young right full.
James Justin.
Off the inside of the post. The way he struck it was, now listen, the first goal by Leicester, Arteta be disappointed with the marking. But again, listen, Arsenal seem to be very strong from set pieces, from particularly corners this year, from very dangerous. Obviously we've seen Gabriel over the last 2 games as well, score, but Trossard has been unreal for them as well. Martinelli with a tidy finish. So, but yeah, listen, they got back into it. They made it difficult for themselves, like I said, at 2-2, but to get back into it and win 4-2 was a great result for them. And yeah, but like I said, if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'd be very, very annoyed that they conceded the 2 goals, you know.
Yeah, and lucky to get it back into it. I mean, obviously they pushed hard for it and stuff like that. They had Leicester at times pen back in. And they were really pushing hard for it and stuff. And that's the sign of a good team as well. You've known them through the years with United as well. When you get those goals laid on and stuff, they're killed. The 4-2 didn't really tell the tale of the game. And indeed, the OG on 90+4, and then the Havertz one was a weird one because everyone thought it was just going to dawn, and then it was like
the keeper saved
and then they give it.
Bounced off him, so keeper got the last touch on it. So, but great result for them. Like, and I think, as Ace has pointed out, Southampton this weekend, like, you'd be expecting them to beat them. Southampton obviously getting beat 3-1 after putting 1 goal back at the minute, but they don't look in great shape, Southampton, you know.
No, definitely struggling, that's for sure. If you're hearing any noise coming through, by the way, I've got a dog on this side snoring its head off, and I've a dog on this side snoring its head off. So we're in tandem at the moment. So just in case you're picking that up, because obviously Hillary isn't here, so they're clinging to me at the moment. Chelsea 4, Brighton 2, the Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson show. Talk to me.
Cole Palmer. Unreal. Unbelievable. I was sitting here, it was off on Saturday, and I was sitting here watching a bit of the Blackpool match, as I just said at the start there, and I seen the goals coming in the Chelsea game, so I just flicked that on, and it was just unbelievable. Again, Palmer obviously taking, 4 goals, obviously taking the man of the match, but I thought, like you just said, Jackson, I thought was really, really good. You could see his assist for Palmer's first goal as well. He done very well. He could have taken the shot on himself, but he squares it to Palmer, and the free kick from Palmer was just
sublime,
world class, man.
Sublime
To hit, and it was pretty far out as well. To think, to get it into the top corner the way he did, and just unbelievable. And to think, like, imagine if he was still at City, we'd probably be like, imagine. Think about Southgate didn't start him in 1 game in the Euros. That is a crime in itself, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean?
That could be part of the reason that cost him.
Yeah, 100%. He's unbelievable. Chelsea, for me, I said it on one of the very first matchups, I would have been worried about the manager, but They're excellent to watch, very entertaining. Obviously, listen, they made a few mistakes at the back, obviously, which led to the Brighton 2 goals. But the way they played was unbelievable, and Palmer could have had 5 or 6. You'd see the one he missed in the second half, and he was cursing at himself and stuff like that. But he's some quality, man. He's just unbelievable.
Couple of these teams like Brighton and West Ham, they're struggling at the moment. Crystal Palace as well, aren't they? Like these would have been 3 teams we would have expected this year to like kick on again, you know, especially West
Yeah.
Ham. You look at the signings they've made, and
I was just going to say probably West Ham more so than Brighton. I think Brighton have started off a little bit brighter. Excuse the pun, but obviously a tough game going to Stamford Bridge in the form that Chelsea have been in. They started off They started off pretty kind of slow, but they're clicking, and it was going to take a bit of time for them to do that. And like I said last week, when Jackson's brought his shooting boots, he's been excellent. That's the one thing, like I said, I had question marks over him last season was his finishing, but he's been excellent this season. And obviously him and Palmer, their link-up play, like I mentioned last week, has been second to none. So very, very tough team to play against, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Everton Palace.
Yeah, it was Everton were looking fairly vulnerable from corner kicks in the first half, and obviously that's what led to Gahey's goal. And they could have been 2 or 3-0 again, all coming from kind of corners. Pickford was looking dodgy at times and stuff like that. But Everton created a few chances and really got back into it. And McNeil with an absolute worldie of an equaliser, and then he gets a second then as well. And yeah, it's a massive 3 points for Everton, and it's much needed. You know that we know how they've been giving away leads and losing points and stuff like that. So it's much needed. For Palace, like you said, yeah, they've kind of gone off the boil a little bit, haven't they? Like, you know, yeah, looking at Schlupp, he's getting a bit on. Eze didn't have a great game. Obviously Gay scores, it was a bit scrappy and stuff like that, but yeah, massive points for it, 3 points for Everton.
Mateta's kind of being in and out. Elise gone. You know, they're struggling really, aren't they?
Tough. Yeah, and yeah, with Mateta, like obviously a lot of people would have put him in as fancy, and he hasn't been doing much over the last few games and stuff, but yeah, that they're finding it difficult, and like I say, you'd expect got 1-0 up against Everton to at least maybe come away with a point or something. But yeah, it was a much needed win, and like I said, a well earned second half performance, a well earned 3 points from that second half performance from Everton. You know.
Yeah, kind of gives Deutsch a bit of a boy for a week or two.
A little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just ever so slightly.
Yeah, exactly.
Wolves 1, Liverpool 2. Konate with the goal. Dominic Szoboszlai missed a similar chance earlier from point blank. This time, the boy Johnson in goals, I think it was, isn't it? Wasn't so lucky with the Konate header. Adnuri with the equaliser just after half time, and then Mo Salah with the penalty. Diogo Jota being brought down in a headlock that people didn't think was a penalty, but however, that's the way it goes. What do you make of this? We made hard work of this, didn't we? And I said to you last week, Molineux is the kind of place you want to tick it off, get in there, get your 3 points, get out of there, and put that fixture behind you.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a tough place to go to. Obviously, it was a good save, but you're expecting the first opportunity to go either side of the keeper. I think it comes off his leg and goes out for a corner. But yeah, you just kept plugging away. Jota was played. I'm a big fan of Jota, to be honest with you. I really like watching him play. Obviously, he's gone back to his old club and he's putting a good performance. And Konate's had a great start to the season, I think. You know, he showed himself. Listen, he made a mistake in the build-up for the Wolves goal. You know, he was trying to see it out. He wasn't strong enough. He gets pulled off the ball. Then it's kind of a little bit scrappy, and it's a tap in kind of in the end for Wolves, you know. But at 1-1, you're thinking, you know, the momentum is with Wolves then, isn't it? And you're a lot of pressure's coming onto you. But I thought he's done very well. And yeah, to me, it was a stonewall penalty. Like it's a rugby tackle really at the edge of the 6-yard box, and obviously Salah slots it away, and you come away with the 3 points. You can't say any fairer than that, you know.
Yeah, we'll talk about Jota during ref watch as well. There was talk that maybe he should have seen red. For the the clip on the, did you see the clip on the ankle type thing
Yeah,
that he
seeing
got
it.
away
Yeah,
with? So yeah, so yeah, I think it would be a bit harsh, but however,
yeah,
we shall see. But yeah, absolutely, and I expected him. I put him in the starting lineup as well. Always going back to your old haunting ground stuff like
yeah,
that. Um, Again, a couple of little performances and stuff like that didn't quite click and stuff like that. And Joe Gomez came on. He looked a little bit rusty there at left back, got turned a couple of times. I just never felt in the game that we were ever really in control of it. I thought it was kind of like, let's get our noses in front, let's get the hell out of here kind of thing, So it was it was somewhat controlled, but also backs to the wall at times, stuff like that. And
yeah.
Wolves are that type of team. I said already, they always raise that game, especially for the top six coming into town. There's no doubt about it. So
Yeah.
next up, Ipswich 2, Villa 2. The Liam the Lap show. What a player.
Yeah, no, listen, I've spoken about him a few times on this. Really good player. I watched him a bit when he was at Stoke, on loan from City and stuff. He's a top baller. And again, Ipswich, I like their style of play. They go with teams. It doesn't matter who they play. We've seen them play against Hughes and stuff, and they've done it at home for Fulham and all, and away to Brighton. They just go at teams. They've really good quality players up top. Obviously, we know Villa's quality, and when they take the lead, you expect them to see a game off. But I was thinking to myself, like, these points that they're getting, like they got a great point against Fulham, a point against Brighton, and this massive point against Aston Villa. If they can keep doing that and then pick up 3 points against the teams like Southampton and stuff like that, I think they'll be doing all right. But from a Villa point of view, a massive game coming up, against Bayern Munich soon. They would have been expecting maybe to take 3 points there, but like I said, there's no shame in leaving there with a point, because you've seen it yourself. They gave you a bit of a scare for the first half an hour in the game against Liverpool in the opening day. They're tough team to play against, particularly when they're at home. So, I think it was a great, like I said, great draw for Ipswich. Villa be disappointed, like I said, not taking advantage of taking the lead twice. But listen, it's a waypoint and for Villa, and like I said, they've a massive game in the Champions League coming up as well. So
I think for Villa it was a missed opportunity, especially with the City result.
no,
I
absolutely,
think that might be part of it, and I think Villa will be looking at that as well. Going, if you're in a top four race, the other three contenders will go there and take 3 points.
yeah.
Like I don't see City drawing at Ipswich. I don't see us. We beat them there already,
Yeah.
But I don't see
Like I said,
Arsenal
they ask
potentially
questions
doing
of
there.
you,
So,
but like, yeah, no,
yeah,
City will. But like I said, if they can keep getting these little points this switch and like just take 3 points from the teams around them, I think they'd be safe.
yeah. Well, then that's the other thing. The teams that are around them, the likes of the Southamptons and the Evertons of this world, they won't necessarily be able to do what they did to Villa.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. Right, I left the main course to the last, of course. Man
Bournemouth,
United
Southampton, is it?
nil, Spurs 3. Absolutely. Uh,
Um, yeah.
we'll talk about Acers. We'll talk about the red card during ref watch. We won't talk about it yet. Bayern Munich will
Yeah.
destroy Villa on Wednesday night. I'm not too sure about
No, I
that.
don't. I
I'm
think
not
it'd be a
I'm not too
decent
sure
game. I
about.
think it'd be fairly even. Um, I think is Harry Kane injured or is he back
There's
from
very
injury?
few teams go to Villa Park and destroy Villa. I'd say he's playing. If he might have been rested at the weekend or something like that, but I'd say
Like
he'd be
imagine
playing
that,
on my. He'll want to
like
play as well.
100%. But like St James's Park last year, imagine a Villa Park now with the Champions League music and all playing. The atmosphere is going to be unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
yeah, that was
Um,
that was all the games out from the weekend. So yeah,
bar one.
yeah,
We have to talk about
yeah.
one. Darren was over. Darren
Cracker.
was over there with the kids, so he sent me some shorts for the channel, folks. If you haven't checked them out yet, his
Oh,
predictions
daily.
and his stuff and all that kind of stuff, his starting 11, all those things. Um, Morris reckons next two games crucial for Eric Ten Hag, Porto and Villa away. Two
Mm,
tough games as well. Two
yeah.
really tough games. Um, give me your thoughts first of all on the game. I thought United started really, really sluggish. It was like as if, and not to create an excuse, were they tired from the 20 game? Did they look like they were feeling it?
See, with the changes that we made on Wednesday night, obviously the likes of Ericsson playing. How are you, Baz? Is he back from Dorothy?
I think he flew back today. Yeah, he should be back.
All showing off your white bits in town.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily think we were tired. Like, I understand what you're saying about the start. It was very slow, and like Van de Ven, he's a centre half, great player by the way. But like to be able to walk through our midfield and our defence was an absolute sham. SC20 done it on Wednesday night for the lead up for the goal as well. You know, obviously they walked right through us, and then Ericsson makes a mistake. And obviously, I don't know
But
if Darren talked about it on Thursday, but I
if you
thought I managed
think about that, if you think about that first goal, right? First of all, it starts off. You've got a poor ball by Bruno. You've got Rashford, who had no interest in putting a challenge in. Van de Ven picks up the ball, takes off, goes right down the field through everyone, squares it to Brennan Johnson, who has the easiest finish you'll ever have.
And
At
Dallow's
the
not tracking him. Do you see Dallow even put his hand up as if to say, sorry, I should have been there, but
like he's seen the guy going in there and he just jogged back.
Yeah.
He's seen the guy going in
it's
and
a
he just
joke.
jogged back. This
like I know
and
everyone,
he's normally the guy who performs for you. You know,
no, and he is, but I've said it about him before. I think Dallow forgets his defensive duties at times. You know, he's great going forward and getting assists and stuff, but I think sometimes he forgets he's an actual defender. You know, very very bad start. Then you're trying to get back into it. Obviously, Garnacho hits the post. You're thinking if that goes in, the crowd are getting behind you, and it's a different game. But then listen, we'll talk about what happened. That obviously changes the direction of our play, and then obviously a minute or two after that, Mainu pulls up with what looked like a hamstring injury as well. So right away it's changes, and then listen, you at half time you're saying, right lads, 10 men, let's try catch them on the break, maybe get one back and again get the crowd behind you, a bit of momentum going. But then you can see it early in the second half and it just beggars belief, and after that, it was kind of damage limitations. You can't really express yourself the way you want to. You're 2-0 down. You're playing with 10 men. Spurs had a lot of the ball and created some good chances. And like I said, it could have been. I said it to Rowan. Myself and Rowan were there yesterday, and watching it, I said to him this could be 3-4, 5-0. That was at half time. But yeah, just horrible day. The Office, one of the poorest performances I've seen in a long time. I think the players, you hear fans say, playing for the badge and stuff, but none of them look like they're showing any passion, desire, anything like that. Ten Hag obviously under a lot of pressure now. You look at 75% of the team that he had out there were his players. There's no excuses. He's brought all of them in. It's up to him to get a tune out of these players, and he's not doing it. The players aren't performing. You can say, what you like about like the likes of the coaching staff being changed and stuff. Like Van Nistelrooy's in there, he knows what the DNA of Manchester United is. Play attacking football and winning leagues over the years and stuff like that. Like you look at the likes of Arne Slot, you look at these new managers that come in, straight away you can see an identity and you can see what kind of style of football they want to play. Even Ange, like Ten Hag, was very complimentary about the way Ange has Spurs playing, and it's like, yeah, well, we have no identity. I don't know. We've no plan A. We've no plan B. There's no style there whatsoever. It's getting very, very frustrating. And some of the issues he's coming out with now is a bit like that. I've had a bit of patience. I said I wanted him in, but it's getting to the stage because you as a Liverpool fan, you've been there with managers before. It gets to a stage, you get to the point of no return, and I think he's getting there.
Yeah, I think, even prior to the Bruno sending off, I was saying to the lads in the thread yesterday, watching it and all, I couldn't believe the space that Spurs were being afforded and how they were able to find that space, move the ball around, and so many of your players just look so static. I looked at even when those balls down the wing there, and even looking at Maserati, who had an okay game, was
Yeah.
still getting skint at times and was
Mm.
making heavy duty of it and stuff like that and all. Even prior to the sending off, I
Yeah.
thought Spurs were constantly on the ascendancy as well. Yes, we can definitely make the case Garnacho hitting the post. If that had gone in 1-1,
Yeah.
things rise up a little bit and it's a different game and stuff like that. But it was just so poor all round,
And
and it was just there's no one
was
walking off. Mount coming off and then coming on and
yeah.
coming off. You know what I mean? Like
Um.
what? That does
And
nothing for you.
And I thought, like, listen, when you see Songers out of the squad, like that should automatically give you, a bit of a boost, a bit of
Mm,
more confidence going into a game. But
yeah.
Spurs look comfortable. Like I was saying to my dad this morning on the phone, they look like the home team, that type of way. They look comfortable on the ball. They made us look like a schoolboy amateur team, and
Mm,
it's happening too much now. And we've seen it with FC20. They came there not expecting to get anything last Wednesday night, and you've seen the pictures of them getting a point, and it looked like they'd won the
mm,
Champions League or the World Cup final. The way they were celebrating with the fans and stuff like that, that's what I meant to them. And fair play to them, because none of our players have shown that. And like I said, the majority of that team and that was out there were Ten Hag players, and it's up to him
mm.
to get something out of them, and he can't do that. It's going to be it's getting beyond the joke now at this stage, and we it's like who was it, Aces or Morris said there, yeah, we Villa, Porto and Villa in the next two games, like
Away,
that's, do you know what I
away.
mean? They're now
Mm,
pushovers, like Villa on their day and the way we played yesterday could beat us 3-4-0. There's no doubt about it. Like Ollie Watkins and Duran coming off a bit off the bench, they're so you know they're so well organised, and they're
mm.
you look at the midfield without play our midfield, you know 9 out
And
of
you
20,
and
9 out
your
of 10
form
times, like
and going to
the,
Porto as well. Under that pressure going to Porto,
mm,
where your European form is shocking as well. Like you know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's
yeah. Oh, it's
although
ridiculous. Like,
Porto had a bad result first game last week or the week before as well. Bodo Glimp
yeah,
beat them 3-2. So
yeah. But
Darren was making a
I
point as
think
well. They've lost a few players as well. So
I know, but I think didn't they? I think they won the weekend in the league and stuff like that, and
mm,
we've never been comfortable going over there. We've always, like won a
yeah.
1-0 or something. It's been a close game, So,
Mm,
yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, but something has to change. Like the lads, I think it was Gary Neville says that the players need to have a meeting with themselves and start asking questions. Start questioning each other. That's what you need to do. You look at. We're 12th in the table. You look at someone like Forest and stuff, who was on the brink of a relegation battle last season, and they're playing much better football for Brentford as well. Like you could even say Bournemouth are playing much better football than us. I think
well,
if
they'll go
this
above you
stays
tonight.
like this,
They'll go above you
if
tonight. Yeah.
yeah, they'll go. It's 8 minutes left here. It's still 3-1. Southampton had a chance there a few minutes ago. But yeah, to go over on eight
Yeah,
points now, and we're still,
the live table, you're 13th at the moment, depending on
yeah.
the result tonight. So
So
yeah,
yeah, it
so
just says it all. It's
it's not
such
good.
a fall from grace.
What do you reckon? Like, let's suppose Ten Hag goes,
Mm.
okay, and like there's such. I mean, what are you looking at there again? Now you're looking at like you've got a cluster of Dutch players there, that like obviously. I mean, the thinking at the moment is what Real takes over
Yeah,
for a certain
that.
period of time.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's what I would say. Like I've said it on here before. I said it the very first mashup of the season that I could see
yeah,
by Christmas that Ten Hag will be gone, and Rude will come in as an interim manager.
yeah. The talk
And
today was, I mean, you'd been linked with Tuchel, you'd been linked with Southgate, you'd been linked with uh, Inzaghi, you'd been linked with what was the other
like
one? Allegri, who was at
Allegri, yeah.
Juventus. So there's a lot of links there.
Oh sure. Yeah, I've been reading about bleeding. People want Solskjaer back with Keane as his assistant, and this, that, and the other. It's you go into some of the forums, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, lads, what is going on here? I wouldn't let Southgate near the job. I think Rude, like if Rude came in, like I said, he knows. Someone said, but sure, he's his number two. He's only after coming in, like, and as a number two, you're working with the players under what Ten Hag wants you to do and the style that he
mm,
wants you to do. You're working with the players, putting on sessions, briefed from Ten Hag. So like Van Nistelrooy can't really put on sessions that he wants to put on that he would have done with probably Feyenoord and stuff like that, So I think if he can get a tune out of players, and maybe get someone else in as the number 2 under him as Inter until Christmas or January or whatever, and see how he gets on, he could be kept on. I just think it's such a bad situation. The players need to step up, but like I said, the manager needs to get something out of the players, and he's the one that brought most of them in.
Yeah,
It was that
it's another
hasty.
real it's another real conundrum for United. It's just like, who do you bring in? What do you do here again? Like, you've still got the
Yeah,
Rashford problem, you've still got the Bruno problem,
and you
you've
look
still
at
got the
players
Shaw
because
problem.
well,
And
Shaw's injured again. Like I just sell him now at this stage. But you look at it, players that don't want to play for the manager. You look at Sancho. Sancho looks like he's had the weight lifted off his shoulders since he's gone to Chelsea, on loan. I think he's had 3 assists, and I think he's won a penalty in his first 3 games. Like, that says it
McTominay,
all. Yeah,
McTominay
exactly. You
playing
see
over
what he's
spin
doing
at
with
Napoli.
Napoli and stuff like that. So it looks like they're playing with a bit of enjoyment and like I said, a bit weight off their shoulders, and it's down to the manager. It just shows you.
Yeah, and that's fundamentally the issue as well. I'm sure United fans are looking at McTominay balling out, going, he's the guy we probably needed to crash the box at times and stuff like
Yeah.
that and all. And
Well,
you look
I
at
think
Sancho. Sancho's outstanding at Chelsea at the moment.
yeah, and I think myself and Ted both agreed. I think I didn't want McTominay to leave. Genuinely didn't want him to leave.
Yeah.
He's that type of player, like you say, you need in those games. To come in to the box late, get a goal. He's bags of energy. And he was with the club since he was a young lad, so he knows what we're all about and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's just
They're saying that the club today coming out saying they'd support him as well, support
yeah.
Eric Ten Hag. But I think really that's just to get through this week to the international break till they figure out what they got to do. Because
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
not even sure with Rude going in. I'm not sure whether that's the right idea either. And no disrespect to Rude Van Nistelrooy, what a player he was and what a legend at the club and stuff he was as well. But I don't know. This ex-player thing is just Jesus. You know what I
I
mean?
know,
Just
like, but in fairness, the difference, like he's obviously managed Feyenoord and he has them playing some good football and stuff like that, at a top level. Where obviously Ole was with Cardiff before he took over, so it is, he has a little bit more kind of experience, let's say, managing a top team in Europe. Albeit, listen, we know what the Dutch league is like and stuff like that, but maybe I think that could be the way to go. Certainly, remember I was telling you, when I was talking to you, Sam down in down the Clayton Hotel that time, and he was saying he wasn't a fan of Ten Hag, but he's a big admirer of Van Nistelrooy and the style of football Van Nistelrooy plays. So that's coming from an ex colleague of his and stuff like that. So it's going to be an interesting few weeks and tough. Every game's going to be tough for us now.
Yeah, absolutely. Bonkers is in. Big up Bonkers. Nisroy probably get it.
Maybe a bonk.
Didn't he reject the job before going to United? Yeah, I think he did. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I wonder about it and stuff like that and all. It's right. Do you know what I did today actually? And it's scary if you go back and do it. I'd suggest you do it. Go back and look at the 2 interviews from Ralph Ranić. And
Oh
actually,
yeah, no, yeah.
and listen to the
Oh
individual
yeah,
detail line by line. Do you
yeah.
know what? It's scary how spot on he was at
Yeah,
every level.
yeah,
Fucking
100%.
scary.
That interview was only on there a few weeks ago on I have on the YouTube, one of the YouTube channels here, and I just clicked onto it again to watch it, But it is, and listen, he's a very very knowledgeable man, and it's like he's predicted the future and of what's going on and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like I said, some of the players.
What did you make of Barada's comments during the week talking about you should be in the title picture by
2028.
2028? That's 4
Yeah,
years away.
I think he was mostly saying it because it's the anniversary of the club and stuff like that, and trying to tie it into that and all. Obviously you want to be competing before then. You look at some of the some of the managers that have come into the bigger clubs and they're competing straight away with the likes of City. Arteta obviously took a little longer. Arsenal gave him the time. Like I said, when Ollie's another chance. When Ollie's head was on the chopping block, obviously Arteta was being talked about leaving as well. So they gave him the time, and yeah, it's just I think obviously they're trying to change a lot from the inside. They have to let more people go. You know, they're changing taking the lunches away from staff and this, that, and the other, which is mad. They have to get rid of one of the historians from the club. They got rid of the kit man. You know,
Rashford will sort out those lunches. Be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll drop off a few Chiara juice boxes or something like that.
Or know a nice Landis down in Kilkenny as well that might be able to sort out a few lunches for them as well. But nowadays it's getting beyond a joke. We're the laughing stock of football at the moment, and it needs to change. And like I said, you have to look at the manager. You know, he's the one that should be getting something from the players, and he's not getting them. And a lot of them he's worked with before, so I don't know whether it's the pressure of a bigger club or what it is, but something definitely has to change.
When he mentioned 2028, you know the first thing I thought? That's 7 more transfer windows.
Yeah. Oh, sure, he's already, what's it, 600 million or something Ten Hag has spent?
616. We won't argue over the 16.
Yeah, we won't get.
We won't argue.
Did you like the thing I sent you earlier, the stat about him and Gary Neville?
Yes. Yeah.
Mad, isn't it?
Mental. Let's talk about this after the game. It was reported to the club that there had been some homophobic chanting during the game. This is Spurs' statement. The club is aware of abhorrent homophobic chanting from sections of our away support at Old Trafford today, they said on their official website. This is simply unacceptable, hugely offensive, and no way to show support for the team. The club will be working closely with the police and stewards to identify anyone instigating or joining in with the chanting. We shall take the strongest possible action in accordance with our sanctions and banning policy. So there we go. This other one came out as well. The Madrid derby last night, I think it was also interrupted by fans throwing items onto the pitch and stuff like that, where Diego Simeone had to go over and talk to the actual Atleti fans to calm it down. The ref pulled both sets of players off the pitch, and this was the response. What the fans did wasn't right, but we are not helping when we provoke them. Atletico coach Diego Simeone said, and we know that, and we've spoken about that before in terms of Real Madrid and stuff like that. They can be a little bit goading at times, and then like boy cry wolf then when there's a reaction. I'm not justifying what the fans did, but we need to help as well. Absolutely. And I think he's spot on with that as well. I think it's really, really important. It's one thing to celebrate a goal. It's another thing to really goad them. And that's in an atmosphere like that, it's an absolute cauldron of, so.
And obviously first derby of the season and stuff like that, and they're so passionate over there. We seen Peake's heads been thrown on pitches and stuff over there at Lewis Field.
I think there was one. Apparently, there was one last night thrown on, but it was in a bag. From what I read,
it's mad,
it's a different gravy over there. Right, let's talk a little bit about Europe. These are the fixtures this week coming in for Europe. Arsenal versus PSG. PSG
should be a cracker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cracker. Obviously, I think PSG are missing a few players as well and stuff like that. So, but obviously Arsenal at home, if they can play some of the football they did against Leicester, but obviously tighten up at the back, particularly from set pieces and stuff like that. I expect a close maybe Arsenal win, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Villarreal 2-1 Pepe. There we
go.
Celtic, after a good start in Europe as well, away at Borussia Dortmund, they'll relish that atmosphere. What a place to live, Dortmund. Fantastic.
Imagine like them singing, and then you've the yellow wall one end, and then the other. It's going to be unreal, isn't it? Another classic Champions League game. Yeah, listen, it depends how Celtic start, but they'll cause some problems. But I can see Dortmund winning here, but like I said, Celtic will make it tricky for Dortmund. There's no doubt about it. They up their game in these Champions League games.
Man City are away to Bratislava. Would you see Pep making changes there? He's obviously no De Bruyne and no Rodri. He can ill afford to get any more injuries. Do you think he might? Some people were talking about how some of these games could be sacrificed in favouring of the league. If you're finding yourself in that position. Now, I don't mean throw the game around, but just I think Pep here could field a much changed side because the risk, like
Definitely.
if he gets more injuries, like if he loses a Stones or a Ruben Diaz or a you know what I
Yeah.
mean, or even the likes of a Foden or a Bernardo Silva or something like that, they'd be in real trouble, like
Absolutely, he might give some of the younger lads a start, and it'd be great
Mm,
to see them get a bit European experience as well. And like you said there, with losing Rodri and stuff like that, I think Gundogan will probably start. He needs to get a decent game under his belt because, like I said, he was absolutely woeful
mm,
against Newcastle, giving balls away and didn't look his normal self. And I think that shot that he took,
mm.
remember Pope played it out to him and he tried to dink him. You know, him of old would have scored that, but I think that I was just looking there. They're at home to Fulham on Saturday. That's going to be a tricky game as well. We know how Fulham are starting and what they like to play against. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're ringing a few changes.
Yeah, and they're also missing Oscar Bob as well, of course, who
Oh,
who has
yeah,
been
yeah,
a very important squad player for them as well that they can lean
absolutely,
on.
yeah,
An absolute great talent of a player. So these are really important, and this is going to be an interesting period for Man City in this season. It's going to be interesting to see how the reaction is. Obviously, going to St James's is a tough one, but
mm,
most teams that rock up that don't see Rodri, don't see De Bruyne on the starting lineup, they're going to be raised from that. You know what I mean? They're
yeah,
key guys for them. And I really think when you don't have, at times, when you don't have De Bruyne in there, and I know he's missing for large parts of the season last year, but when he's missing, that kind of connection with him and with Haaland seems to go missing as well. And you
yeah,
could see at times last season, even when De Bruyne wasn't there, Haaland at times sometimes ghosted through games and
yeah,
wasn't quite what he should be. So it's big. It's important to raise that as well. Aston Villa versus Bayern Munich, we spoke about as well. I don't think Bayern Munich are going to have their own way at Villa Park
definitely not,
this
definitely
week
not.
at all. And I think if you're rocking up there with that in mind, don't get too derailed by what's happening in the Bundesliga and stuff like that. Aston Villa is a different place to go to than a lot of those Bundesliga teams and stuff like that. And also, I know they're free scoring at the moment and all. Acers are saying Kane is injured. I don't know whether he'll be injured for this game or not. I'm not too sure, but
Mm,
if he is, we shall see what happens. Liverpool, we're at home. We have Bologna. Um, Probably a much changed Bologna side. Obviously, you boys got Xerxes, who was there as far as I know. Wasn't he at Bologna
yeah,
as far as I know?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's Bologna,
So I
yeah,
think they sold a couple of other players, and one of their players go to Juve as well, I think, and can't remember his name now. But so that should be interesting as well. But we'll be at home, always a special time under the lights, Champions League,
yeah,
and then we have to roll on into the weekend. I think we're at Crystal Palace, from what I can remember. Um, from what I can remember, then you have Ferencváros versus Spurs. Your game, obviously, Porto versus Man United,
yeah,
which will have a lot of eyes on it this week, obviously, with the current situation.
yeah, yeah.
Rangers versus Leon. Chelsea start their
Unbelievable game.
campaign against Ghent. Obviously, the Conference League starts later. This is the first week, I think, for the Conference League. And then we have Rovers versus Apoel Nicosia, Shamrock
Yeah,
Rovers. So that
that'd
should
be
be
a decent
interesting as well.
game.
Yeah.
Obviously Rovers coming towards the end of the season, domestic season, and up all only starting, only 5 games in, and obviously Jack Byrne, Rovers player, obviously played there 2 seasons ago. I think it was a Mick McCarthy manager at the time, and brought Jack in, and then Mick left. Jack stayed on, got an injury. So yeah, that'd be an interesting game. It'd be listen. From an Irish point of view, it'd be great to see Rovers get off to a winning start. But even if they
Mm.
could chalk a point on the board to get them started, it'd be great to see. And no doubt the atmosphere be electric in Tala.
Yeah. The game against Chelsea is the one we're really looking forward to, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
going to
I
be
know.
something.
I know a
Yeah,
few lads going over and stuff like
yeah.
that. It's only £20 for the ticket for the way end. Um,
That's brilliant.
there's a load of them going over, and there's a big obviously Irish community within London anyway. There's
Mm.
a London Shamrock Rovers supporters club and stuff like that, started up by Robbie Gaffney's young lad Jason and stuff. So
Oh, very
there'll be a
good.
lot of them going over there as well and stuff. Yeah,
Mm.
from London, going to Stamford Bridge. So yeah, no, it's listen, it's gonna be great to see Rovers in it. And like I said, even though I'm a Shells fan myself, it's always
Mm.
great to see an Irish team perform in Europe and play against these big teams,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. And because it's a league situation as well, it affords us that bit more that we see them as
Yeah,
well. So,
yeah, exactly.
Acers hold fire on that 6 goals as well, because I don't know. I think Maraska could make a few changes Be interesting to see what he does here and what his starting 11 is like, because he has lots and lots of options
I was
there
just
as
going to
well.
say that, yeah.
But he doesn't want guys to get too far ahead of themselves and gas out a little bit and stuff like that. And he might take advantage of that situation as well. So it'll be interesting to see, some of those boys who have been coming on, the likes of Joe Felix and Kunku and stuff, they may end up starting this game and stuff like that. So I still think Chelsea will run out comfortable winners as well anyway. So, but
definitely.
I don't know. I don't know, Aces, whether he will or not. I think Maresca might take the opportunity to change things up a little bit. I think he might.
Yeah, and Aces is right. Yeah, I think it's 5:45 on Sunday, so we've Shells going up to Tala for that game. Obviously, United and Villa are on at 2, and then that game later on. So that's my Sunday sorted.
Now, before we get into Ref Watch, I did up a slide for you tonight. So you can get down through all the fixtures. And now it's a little bit out of date now, obviously, because of
what happened this evening,
because of this evening, obviously, and stuff like that. But the one I wanted to look at was the Drogheda Dundalk conundrum. Obviously Dundalk getting beaten by Bows and Drogheda beating Derry City. That's a massive swing in the table.
Unreal. Obviously tonight's results change it. I think Derry are still 4 points behind, but now they have the game in hand over Shells as well. I don't think anyone's seen the Rovers Pats one coming, to be quite honest. Pats have gotten a bit of momentum going over the last while, picking up points, but I thought they might have only taken a point from Rovers. But when I seen them 2-0 up, I was like, Jesus. And then Drogheda as well.
Yeah,
obviously our friend
that's a bad
Aaron was on
result
the
for
bench.
Rovers at home, wasn't it? Rovers at home,
100%. Like so, and like yourself, I was watching the Shell Sligo game. It was dire on Friday night. And I was texting one of the lads after. It's like no one wants to actually win the league. So the way some of the results are going, And when you look at it, Pats are climbing up the table. Obviously, another 3 points. They're on 47 now with Sligo. Galway have been doing really well as well. So, and it's going to be tough at the bottom there. Like I said, Dundalk beaten by Bows. A lot going on in the club, right? And actually, just what I mentioned it, I mentioned Maxi last week, Maxi Kavanagh. Unfortunately, on Friday, he passed away.
That's the way.
So just I want to send me thoughts and prayers to his friends, family, and everyone in Dundalk and stuff like that. His funeral's on Thursday. It's going to be a massive thing in the town. He was such a prominent figure within the club and the town itself, So just it was sad to hear the news that he had passed away. So like I said, I just want to send me thoughts and prayers to everyone up there,
Absolutely, 100%. Very, very sad. So
fair play for sticking up the next few weeks are going to be interesting. We've and then Shell's last game is against Derry, last game of the season, so that's going to be massive.
Question for it, and you're closer to it than me. The way Dundalk's going at the moment, it looks like they're in serious trouble. Goal difference is horrific. 6 points. Drogheda creating that gap there and stuff like that. Does this kind of change? We heard John Temple talking about, how important it would be to survive in the league in terms of, what's the alternative have you seen if relegation happens?
Yeah, obviously, there's only so much investment he can obviously put into the club. Obviously, a lot of the sponsorship deals will come in with them being in the top division. Obviously, getting sent down. What you'd hope for is they're still getting big crowds to the games, even if they get relegated, because that's match day revenue is going to be a massive thing for them, particularly losing out on TV rights and stuff like that. The likes of RTE and Virgin Media, what would give them for the Premier game. So it's going to be really tough. Like he said last week, he's getting a grant off the government, but that's just going to cover literally getting the pitch done and the floodlights. There's only so much money he'll invest, and there's only so far that will get. They've a lot of players coming out of contract soon as well, so they'll be looking at to sell a few players and maybe promote a few of the younger lads up to the first team if they get relegated down to the Division 1. It's a tough time, and like I just said, with the news that happened on Friday night as well with Maxi, it's just such a dark cloud hanging over the town. It's
compounds everything.
It's just so sad to see. So, but listen, I hope they bounce back. I really do. Like I said, John's a good lad, and He's got the at least he has the interest of the club. He's not one of these American owners coming in or whatever that they've had
Mm,
previously. That money is whatever. He
yeah,
has the interest of the club at heart, and that's what I think will get
yeah.
them over the line. You know.
Yeah, I just think listening to his interview and all, and how focused he was, and everyone is just looking for money at the moment,
Mm,
and
yeah.
there's obviously a fear there that, and we hope it doesn't happen. Obviously, Dundalk with such a rich history as well in Irish football.
Mm,
We hope that this isn't the beginning of nearly a disappearing act. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
God knows what would happen to the club if it gets relegated, and then
Sure.
how do you
Exactly.
restructure all the finances there when you've such dissolving of the revenue coming in the door and so many people looking for money and all,
Yeah.
and it's you know what I
We
mean. So it's
we've seen it. Listen, we've seen it with Shells when Shells got relegated. They were in the wilderness for long enough, and it's excellent to see them back up there now. But it took years and years, and going through managers, getting players in, losing them to bigger clubs that are, like I said, in the Premier Division. So, like I've always liked watching Dundalk. Been down to Oriel Park a few times and stuff. They've all been a good team to watch and all, and but yeah, it's just sad to see what's happening. But like I said, John should be a glimmer of light for him there. He has a consortium behind him as well. So,
mm,
how, like I said, they've the best interest of the club at heart, and that's the main thing.
yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't even look. How many games is left this season, by the way?
Um,
Most of
uh,
them are around 32 at this stage, aren't they,
Yeah, I
roughly?
think Shells after tonight have 5 games left, and like I said, Derry City is the last game of the season. So if it stays like that, that's going to be a massive game. Shells and Derry. It's basically whoever. If it say it keeps going the way it is, it be whoever wins that wins the league. One-off game kind
Mm,
of thing. It's going to
yeah.
be very very interesting. But like I
Mm.
said, Saturday or Sunday against Rovers in Salah, they need to, especially after tonight, they need to start. Picking up points. They had a sending off there, so that's going to be a suspension as well. A straight red tonight,
Yeah, it's
and
probably it's probably they're so close they can taste it, that they can feel that nervous energy of trying to get over the line and all. I
but
think I
and
heard
and
Duffer talking about
yeah,
it in a couple of interviews as well.
but like we haven't won a game in the last 9.
Mm,
You're right, Will. Will was texting me. Sorry, meant to text him back earlier. Will was at the match there tonight as well, and David was there as well, and Keno. They were all at the match tonight. So, but
mm.
yeah, not winning the last 9. Like you're coming into the business end of the season, and that's when you need big wins, and that's not
You
happening.
can
They've
you
drawn
look
and lost
you
games.
look at the table and it should be done at this stage.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I
100%.
mean?
Like, and you think you're getting somewhere, and they just, yeah, again, like tonight, they fake up 2-0 down, got it back to 2-1, 2-all, then 2-all with 5 minutes to go, and then Pat score, and like I said, down to 10 men and all. And for me, it wasn't a sending off, to be honest with you. I don't know, Will, if you've seen a replay, obviously you would have seen it when you were there live, but to see the replay, it wasn't a sending off at all. Like, there was a bit of handbags as well there, but yeah, Pats are an informed team at the minute, and to go to Rovers and to Shells in the last 2 games and get 6 points from 6. Fair play.
Yeah, it's that kind of pressure when it hits you to drive you to do stuff you
Mm.
wouldn't normally think or do, or react in a certain way and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
100%. And Duffer was losing the plot on the sideline. There was a bit of argy bargy with the opposition
Mm,
dugout. I don't know if Phil got a good look at that, but yeah, it was. You could see tensions are getting high and it's getting a bit.
yeah.
But like I said, not to have won a game in the last 9 in the run in, it's terrible.
He's feeling it. He's feeling it. There's no doubt about it. Because we say, remember the reaction as well on the Rovers game? Didn't he react
Yeah.
to the Rovers manager as well? And there was a bit of back and forth and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
So
think it was his assistant. Yeah, yeah, Stephen
yeah,
Bradley's assistant. Yeah, so but
he should be the one who's really absorbing that and not reacting that way. But he's obviously feeling the pressure
he's
himself.
yeah, he's
We still
and
think of
listen,
Duffer as being a player as well.
yeah,
Not to
no,
be,
and listen, as a
yeah,
player, he was so quiet and all, but seeing him as a manager, he's very emotional and he's such a character. Like I've refereed him when he was with Rovers, a few times when he was under 16 manager, and I had always assumed he was a quiet lad, and the effing and blowing him from him, and some of it was directed at me as well, which I was a bit kind of shocked at, but yeah, he certainly is a character, and he wears his heart in the sleeve, and that's what the fans love about him.
yeah, absolutely. And it's weird, isn't it, when you look at Pats and how well they've been playing in the last number of weeks and stuff like that, down there in sixth and stuff. Now, obviously, they're a little bit higher after tonight, obviously, or whatever.
Yeah, and like when you look at it mathematically, they could win the league if they won all their games and whatever results went. So it just shows you how mad. And obviously the race for Europe is interesting this year as well with Galway there and stuff. And Galway, I said at the start, are a very tough team to play against. They've got a great mix of experience and new players there, and they've got a good setup. And going down there, the fans are amazing. Like they've been nearly getting sellouts every week. And I was watching one of the girls. They were showing one of the girls, Galway, in matches on TG Carter there a few weeks ago, and even the women's teams are getting proper crowds down there. So
What
it's
was
great
the
to
match?
see.
What was the match we were about watching on Friday? Rovers.
No, Shells and Sligo. Yeah,
Sligo,
it was dire
yeah.
close.
It looks great on TV though as well. I looked at the Rovers game as well there last week, or was ever we were on about. It looks great on TV. Looks great.
Yeah, no, it is. It's particularly obviously
packed out.
Yeah, no, and particularly Rovers. Obviously, the four stands there, so it's a proper stadium, as you would say, you know. And obviously, I talked before. Remember, I was talking to Yap about he couldn't get his head around how there's no division below. So there is talks to set up a third division.
The third one, I've seen that, yeah.
So there's a few teams, the likes of Malahide, Lucan United are in talks as well, and stuff like that. It'd be great to see, because like obviously we've never had a third division, so it'd be great to see. But again, it all comes down to money as well. Like you see, if they're stepping up, there's going to be more crowds going to these games, so insurance and this, that, and the other. So there is all that to think about. But I think it's a step in the right direction, and you know the percentages of crowds going to the games have gone up, and I think the standards getting much better. I know, listen, there's people still out there going to be slagging the League of Ireland, but it's going in the right direction for me, you know, 100%.
Well, especially if they're thinking of setting up a third tier, that means that everything is on the up and going really well and stuff like that. Obviously, Dundalk have their issues and they have to figure that stuff out now, but in general, very, very strong. And as you mentioned about the four stands as well, I laugh because sometimes when you're watching on telly, you have this nice big stand with all these fans and stuff like that. And then it goes to the goal where there's a bit of action and there's a van park behind it with about 4 rows of lino and a lot of carpet in and something like that. It's great to see.
Yeah, Gerard is mad for that. You look, I think it's the right-hand goal as the camera's looking, and you see into someone's back garden and all, you know. But and what I will say about the third division is obviously if it does come into effect, it'd be great to see some teams from outside of Dublin as well. You know, in little areas like obviously we had Kilkenny and all before, but you know if you're going, there's a lot saturated Dublin teams obviously in the Premier and stuff like that. So it'd be nice to see from pockets around the country to get them involved as well and setting up the third division, you know.
Yeah, also next year, I suppose, Cork coming back up again, isn't it? But it looks of things there.
Yeah, Cork won the league. Yeah, Cork have won the league, so they're already up. And
good to see them back as well.
It's great. It's great. Obviously, Rory Keaton was their main target man last season. He went to Pats. It didn't work out for him. He came back. Obviously, his dad passed away last year and stuff like that. It was tough for him. But yeah, Cork is where he belongs, and they've been doing great things down there. And it's like obviously they've Cove down there as well. But Cork, you know, to go down to Turner's Cross, great atmosphere down there. It's a nice stadium to play in and stuff. So it's great to see them up, and they have that old rivalry with all the Dublin clubs. You know, it's it is really good, you know. It's a good away day as well for the fans to go down to Cork.
Derry Cork is probably the longest trip in the league, wouldn't it?
It will be,
Derry Cork be the longest trip in the league. Yeah, interesting. That's where you see the real dedication, isn't it?
That's it. Really that's it. Particularly like on a Friday night. Imagine you're in Cork and you have to go to Derry. Like, you know, you're taking the day off work on the Friday just to travel up to get there in time, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, absolutely. And then you're not getting home. What time are you getting home at even? You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Like so.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's talk a little bit of ref watch before we go. I suppose the main one to talk about obviously is this Bruno one. Somewhat made United's day yesterday really, really difficult. But obviously I think Spurs were on the ascendancy anyway. They were playing really, really well. So what did you make, first of all? Take me through the sending off. A lot of people were saying that Chris Kavanagh had the card ready to go. We couldn't wait to dish it out, all this kind of thing and all. What was your thinking on
it? I was sat there with Rob watching it yesterday, and obviously he's a Liverpool fan as well. And when I initially seen it, I was like, did the studs go down the leg or what way? And then I seen the replays, and for me, it wasn't a red card, like, and Rob agreed with me. And obviously, he's a Liverpool fan. We have a bit of banter, but he said the exact same thing, Obviously, the way he slips and puts a leg out makes it look worse. But when you look at the actual tackle itself, the outside of his foot hit off Madison's knee. It's a block tackle. It's for me, it's a yellow card. And Madison's reaction doesn't help the situation either, and the players running over and stuff. And like you said, I've seen a few people are saying about he had his card out, he was smiling, or he couldn't get out quick enough. But yeah, for me, it wasn't a sending off. I've looked at it over and over again today. I've watched different replays, different angles, and for me, it's 100% not a sending off. It's a yellow card. Like I said, it's a block tackle. Even if he doesn't slip and he still makes that tackle, it's a block tackle. It's a caution. And yeah, I like when you seen one of the replays, I was like, oh Jesus, did the studs connect? Did it go down his leg? And it didn't at all, And like I said,
well, see, we've often had the debate as well about whether connection is the overriding factor in this as well, because if there's intent, but it's very hard to know what intent is.
Yeah,
then you're trying to read a player's mind. The one thing that sticks out for me is there are studs up and he has taken flight. Now I know he slipped, but he's off the ground and he's, you know what I mean? And it's...
Yeah, but if you look at the studs, they're away from Madison. His foot is going that, so the studs are away from him. So he catches him obviously with the outside of his boot. What I will say as well is, like, obviously Kavanagh doesn't have a great view of it. So in that view, the lads in the VAR should have been like, I think you need to go over and look at it.
Who also confirmed it.
That's what I'm saying. They obviously agreed with him, and that's why they didn't do it. Obviously, the assistant referee has a better view of it. So obviously, they've had a chat on the mic and said, no, it's definitely sending off. But for me, man, honest to God, not just wearing a United hat or being biased.
Oh, no,
for
absolutely
me,
not.
It's a yellow card all day long,
Morris is right. It is his first straight red as well. So
yeah.
I couldn't believe that either. Dirty Fecker was probably old.
But no, Morris, when I seen the first replay, and I was like, but then I seen the rest of them, and no, it's definitely not a red card,
Yeah, and do you know something? I'd imagine playing against Madison. I'd say Madison has that kind of Vardy way about him.
Yeah.
And he kind of gouge you into stuff as well. And I'm sure Bruno as well. A lot of what you're saying there was out of frustration yesterday, I'd say yesterday as well, because
100%.
obviously giving the pass away for the Van de Ven run into the goal and stuff like that and all. Yeah. And obviously the spotlight's on Bruno as well, being the club captain and stuff like that as well, and he hasn't been performing well in recent weeks. He's been way off the boil.
I was just going to say Madison's reaction as well. What Bruno said in the interview after is that he said it wasn't a red card either, so that said it all for me as well,
Yeah, sometimes players say that though just to protect themselves from getting heat. You know what I mean? Like if I get done by someone, I mean he no problem rolling around the ground holding his leg like it was broke. So you can't just jump up then after that and go, it was a yellow for me, mate. Because that comes out in the thing and then everyone goes, oh, Madison's a good lad. You're rolling around, you know what I mean? So you can't have it both ways, Bruno's part of the problem at United. Get rid. He certainly is probably between himself and Rashford the most players that generate the most debate. Because a lot of what you say, sometimes Darren often says it as well, that if he's on your team, you love him. If you're a rival, you're going to hate him and stuff like that and all.
Bit like Diego Costa. Remember, he was with Chelsea. We all used to hate him, but as a Chelsea fan, I say I would have loved him. That sort of way.
Did you see him last week?
Yeah, with the young
sent down to a 21s to knock off a bit of ring rust and get sent off picking around with a 21-year-old.
Some boy, and your man looked young as well. I know he was a young.
Oh yeah, he looked like a kid. Yeah, he looked really young. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Bruno, listen, his petulance doesn't help himself and the way he acts. I thought we were turning the corner with him when he got a bit of responsibility and getting the captain's armband and stuff like that. But he's just one of those players where he's so frustrating. So frustrating, like.
Yeah.
But we know his quality. We know what he can do,
Well, you're going to get 2 or 3 games now to see exactly all these people who want him gone. And I'm one, not necessarily that wants him gone, but I'm one. I wouldn't fancy him in my team. That's just how I feel about it. But again, as Darren says, if he was playing in your team, because I like the way Jota has that little bit of shithousery about him and stuff like that and all, you know. So Bruno's kind of that way as well. But you're going to find out over the next 3 games just how important he is to United. So it's going to be interesting to see. Who picks up the captaincy, actually? Who picks up the captaincy when I'm gone?
Obviously Maguire isn't starting, so probably if Casemiro starts, possibly Casemiro.
You think Rashford should be chomping at that, shouldn't he?
Yeah, if not, I think Martinez might have taken the armband yesterday, did he? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm not too sure. I didn't see who took it.
I think Martinez, I don't know, maybe the lads in the chat might be able to refresh what I think Martinez, he'd a brutal game as well, to be honest with you, but
well, it was across the board. I mean, no one came out yesterday smelling of roses, and even looking at Mainu walking down the tunnel, the frustration on him, like he was absolutely fucking steaming, like
yeah.
You know, and I think he wasn't pointing to his hammy. I think he was pointing to his calf, wasn't he?
Was it the calf?
Injury?
Yeah.
I think it was a calf injury, actually. Yeah,
it's not a good time of the season for these things to be happening now.
No.
Whether
one thing I wanted to ask you about the weekend, I've seen lots of players this weekend kicking balls away in the lane restarts and all this kind of stuff, and I didn't see too many of them getting carded. Have
there wasn't.
Have the PGMOL got into the boat and rowed back again or something?
Yeah, it's a strange one, and particularly I think the mic up ref thing was released there last week, wasn't it? About the Declan Rice situation. Did you watch it?
It was horrific. It was horrific.
And the way they brought Pedro up, and he kind of just glossed over it. You know, obviously Pedro's won the first half, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, it should have been," and then he went on to something else, and you're like, "So
I thought the thinking around it was okay. I thought the way that they presented it, I thought was just amateur hour the way they were talking and all. I just thought,
even the way the referee
what was this? Look after yourself. Look after yourself.
And
what was that?
The way he was saying to Declan, I don't want to do it, but I have to do it. And all, you're like, did you hear him?
It's nearly belittling the guy. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was Ericsson's comments after the game on Wednesday? Was it, Morris?
Yeah, just the ones where he came out and he said that a lot of the players just don't want it enough.
Yeah, and he's right. You know, you can see it. Like I said, you can tell. Like McTominay, as much as people slagged him, always put a shift in because he knows what the club is about, and he's been there since he was a young lad. It means a lot to him, and that really shows on a football pitch, you know. And they don't want to play for the manager, and that's it. And
do you know what I found funny about it? Like all respect to Christian Eriksen and stuff like that and all, but if Christian Eriksen, who was struggling at the moment to operate at that level because he's at that age now and everything else.
Yeah.
But if Christian Eriksen is telling you that you don't want it enough, you really need to go find a new career, really.
Yeah.
Because if Christian Eriksen telling you don't want it enough,
absolutely.
Good Lord.
Yeah, no, it is. It's ridiculous. And like I said earlier on the show, Morris, we're the laughing stock of football at the minute, and that continues. You know, it's ridiculous.
It's the fact that there's such a cohort now of your own fans going in on each other, and just this lack of affording any time now to players. Ugarte's this, Xerxes this. You know, there's not. You think about that team yesterday against Spurs. It was an awful performance. But I mean, there's a lot of players out there that are still trying to gel and find. So look, Ugarte's only in the team. You know what I mean?
No, and there is. Listen, he's played probably 1.5 games. Really, you know, came on
and listen, coming to United is a heavy move. Putting on that jersey is a heavy move. It's not for everyone.
No, and it is, and particularly with the spotlight that's been put on us and the what's going on in the club on and off the pitch. There's a lot of media attention, and you know, it's like you said, it weighs heavy on a lot of people's shoulders. You know, and like I said, you look at the Sancho thing. He looks like he's enjoying his football with Chelsea after leaving us and stuff like that. So on loan,
which compounds the 10
exactly,
sentiment. Compounds it. When you see McTominay balling out, you see Sancho balling out, you see these players balling out and stuff like that. It's like, you know what I mean? It compounds the feeling around the places of that. And I always say with United as well, they're such a microscopic club as well because people look for everything. They will write a story. If one of these players parks his car the wrong way in a car park at training,
Mm.
it's a news headline
Yeah.
week in, week out, and stuff like that. And it's just it's crazy as well. But that cloud, as you said, and that negativity over it at the moment and all, and
It's
something
not
kind
good.
of has to give and break. And then the problem is the fear for you guys, I'd imagine, is if Ten Hag goes out the door and Rude kind of stumbles along, but doesn't really create the impression that you want. You got a lot of Dutch players in there at the moment.
Mm.
You know what I mean? That they're going to be looking at. Like, you think about it. If a Simeone goes in there, you know, and I said this to you before, what kind of a coach worth his salt would drop a Xerxes in on top of a Highland when you already have a kind of a youth kind of project-y type of thing there, and then you're bringing Xerxes in on top of that as well. You know what I mean? It's just they're strange moves for me. I don't understand it, and it's for me. I'm not too sure. You know. What else? As I said to you this weekend as well, the amount of lads standing in front of free kicks to be taken and tapping
Yeah,
little balls away
delaying
and stuff like that.
delaying the restart of the game. I thought there'd be more cautions for that this weekend as well. Like I said, the Fulham Forest game, I thought Forest had a great shout for a penalty. You know,
Yeah.
if you're giving one, you're giving the other. I thought they were very similar situations, so I thought the referee bottled that. If I'm being honest with you, and obviously that would change the game and tilt it in the favour of Forest. You know, getting an equaliser, and you wouldn't know what would happen then, particularly playing at home. So I thought that for me was definitely a penalty. I don't know what the lads thought in the chat and stuff like that. You know,
Anything in the Romero handball? Not you
no,
guys?
no, I think for me, no, his arm is down, but so
Yeah.
initially, like when I was watching it, I shouted for it, you know, as you do when you're in that. But when you see the replay, for me, his arm is down. It's not in an unnatural position, you know. It's for me, it's definitely not. I thought that was his correct
Can
decision,
imagine,
you know.
yes, they pointing one hand at the arm out.
Yeah,
Ref,
yeah,
ref, ref,
yeah,
ref,
yeah, yeah.
ref, come on.
Yeah, you're not too far off. Live from the Boar's Head we were yesterday, so it was yeah, it was one of those I stood up and shouted, but no, definitely it wasn't a penalty, 100%.
Tell us this. When you go out to watch a match, we'll ask Rowan if he's still in the chat as well. When you go out to watch a match, being an ex-referee, do you analyze it more? Do you look for things more? Do you see things more than, say, if I was watching it or Rowan was watching it or Morris was watching it?
Yeah, no, yeah, you look at things and obviously, no offense to Row and the lads and stuff, you do know more laws of the game than they would casually watching it, you know. So you do look out for things like, you know, and when the lads are on the field of play, obviously. Now, listen, there's obviously the cameras are concentrating on what's going on. There's obviously stuff happening off the ball that you don't see, but yeah, there will be things I'll be looking at going, Jesus, yeah, he could have done that, he could have done that, you know, that type of way. So yeah, it's just natural because when you do the course and all, it's just like you learn all these laws of the game that are just
Yeah.
like
Because we've heard it before with guys who are, say, like pro wrestling fans as well, and then they take up pro wrestling and they start wrestling, and they lose their joy of being a fan because they
yeah,
analyze it so much
yeah,
that they
yeah,
can't let themselves enjoy it. So
yeah,
I just wanted to ask you, do you be sitting there going, really
yeah. No,
going
I
to hell
did
this
like
guy thing, you know?
Rob will tell you he's probably gone now, probably play FIFA or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was like that, and there was a few shouts and all, and particularly for the sending off, there was a bit of back and forth with a few of the lads in the pub and stuff, particularly the young barman there yesterday, who I sensed was a Liverpool fan. So, but yeah, no, you look at it in a
Where were
different
you?
way, and in the
Where were you?
Boar's Head.
In the Boar's Head, whoever was barman there yesterday, if you're a Liverpool fan, shout out to you. Tops.
And I wouldn't mind. We know Ken's the head barman there. He had gone off on his lunch, and obviously shout out to Hugh, the owner.
Yeah, William, he is a Liverpool fan. He's saying, there you go.
Is he?
Big shout
Well,
out. Love it.
see that
Love
young
it.
lad there. So,
Love it.
yeah, no, we had 2 nice points of Guinness there, so it was you can't go wrong, you know.
2 nice points of Guinness.
Yeah,
Jeez. Was that prior to the Brennan Johnson goal, or?
that was after the Brennan goal. But it's what's it?
I've
Oh,
had this talk with him
did you
before.
Will? Do you know who I'm talking about? So yeah. I don't know if Will was in work as well yesterday, but yeah, they're nice points. Guinness is nice in the Boar's Head, lads. I'm telling you, Capel Street's the place to be.
Not yesterday, though, if you're a United fan.
Well, Rowan made a great a great observation. I've gone over there to watch 3 matches this season, right? First one was the City Community Shield,
Yeah.
beaten. The second was the Liverpool game, beaten.
Yeah.
And now Spurs yesterday, beaten and
See,
annihilated.
Darren balances it out. Darren goes over and you get beaten as well. And then he goes to the Liverpool games with me and then we get beaten. So he carries it over with
Yeah.
him to Anfield then as well.
I must go and watch a game with Row, Liverpool game with Row. So yeah, we were talking about the Giddy Dolphin. The Giddy Dolphin have gotten pool tables in now, lads. So that's the place to be as well.
Nice massages on Capel Street too, or so I've heard.
So we've heard, yeah, not
When
too
your back
bad.
when your back is hurting from DJing all night and fibbers and stuff like that, yeah, that's need to go over there and get just the rub. We need to get to TPS.
Definitely will, but unfortunately, Will, you know the story. Rowan's not allowed in TP Smith, so hence to go to the board's end. We won't get into that now, because we won't get into that now. But yeah, let's just say Rowan's not allowed to step foot inside TP Smith.
I told you last season when I went over to the Palace game and I've been very fortunate as well, because you think about Liverpool down through the years as well. At times they've been so poor. That Palace game was the first game I witnessed where we got beaten.
You serious?
And I'm following Liverpool now.
That's mad.
44 years.
That's mad. Yeah, no, it's tough.
William wants the stories. You're not getting off. He wants story time. Go on.
I tell you, Rowan, get into the chat there, will you? And you can tell the story.
Daz right now is just after getting home, probably after getting off the boat. He was at the match yesterday in Old Trafford. He was over there for a couple of days with the boys and stuff like that, and all his uncle. Shout out to his uncle Gay and his nephew Tiernan as well. Browdy was there and Andrew were there as well. So it's not great when you go over with the boys either and you get beaten.
Definitely not. Like I'd always go back to remember the Porto game, the Champions League. Mourinho ran down the line and slid as Porto manager. I was there that night, and I was literally 2 seats back from the top of the North Stand. And it's one long ass walk when you're going down after being beaten, you know.
Morris, please, now stop this, Morris. Like Palace have been a bit of a bogey on and off for Liverpool. Morris, now stop that now. Okay, we don't need any of that. Don't be using those dark arts now. You'll be getting accused of these dark arts now with this kind of carry on and stuff like that. Although I do tell the story about where I was watching the Palace game. Remember the Suarez one? And I was watching it on I was watching it on a computer, and I started getting people sending me messages laughing and stuff like that. And I was about the good old days. I was about 10 minutes behind, I'd say, everyone else.
Yeah.
And I was cruising. I think I was cruising at 3-1 going, what are you all laughing at? And at the time, I think it was 3-all or something like that.
Because I'll never forget, I used to get Yvonne's laptop to watch the streams, you know, back in the day, and she'd usually set it up or whatever. And do you remember, like, there'd be these ads popping up? There'd be these ads popping up of, you know, women in lingerie and this, that, and you'd be like, she'd be coming over, you'd be watching it, and these ads be on the screen. Bit like, you know, back in the day, you'd be playing SmackDown and Trish Stratus and her big tits be popping out on the screen, like the home screen, like. But
the pop-ups were a killer, didn't you? And then they invented pop-up blocker, and that was great and all. And
it's all changed now, cuz. All changed now. For the better, because like I said, I was flicking around on Saturday. I was watching the Blackpool match, and I love what I don't know if I mentioned before on where I watch my the Blackpool game. It's the picture of the game, but then it's the commentary from BBC Radio Lancaster. And the commentator is real old school. Do you remember your man that used to do the scores on BBC? He'd be like, oh, you know, he had that old voice.
Yeah.
And then I was having this conversation with him. I think
this is the one with the video printer, is it?
Yes. Remember? Yeah.
One.
Yes. He used to be brilliant. But I was talking to Deal or to Row there, and we were talking about like Barry Davis and all, and
rather watch the pop-ups than United at the minute.
Will, I tell you, you're spot on there, man. You're spot on. But Barry Davis and John Motson and all, and oh man.
Yeah. I always remember listening to your man as well, and you could tell who he followed then. Because if it's team one, then he'd go, and then he'd go, Southampton 3. Yeah,
exactly.
You get excited then, yeah, absolutely.
And what was your man? Was it Brian Moore on ITV?
Brian Moore, Brian Moore,
sponsored by Continental Tires, ITV Champions League. Oh man, brilliant.
Yeah.
Taking me back there.
Absolutely. Continental Tires, huh? There you go. Right. Great show as always. Great to have you on. I don't think we don't have an interview this week lined up or anything, so
Not
we're off
yet.
the
There's
hook.
still a few messages out there. I'm waiting for replies
Good.
from
Absolutely.
lads. So
I
we'll
am
wait and see.
back with Pro Wrestling Weekly tomorrow night, I think at 8:30. At that stage, I should have everything calmed down here with Hillary coming back and all.
Send her
But we're
all our
going
love as well, cause
absolutely 100%. We're going to do a review of the McMahon documentary on Netflix, the docu-series.
I
So that
haven't
should be
started watching
interesting.
it. Is it good?
Yeah, listen, it's good in terms of a collection, but
Hmm.
in terms of giving you anything new, it doesn't give you a lot of new stuff in it.
Okay, yeah.
But it certainly certain aspects of it are quite an eye opener, to be honest. But yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about all the usual wrestling stuff as well, and the history and the birthdays and all that kind of good stuff as well. And then I should have a preview for the Bologna game out. Hopefully, cracking show as per usual, lads. Cheers, William. Appreciate that.
Well.
He's loving now the way we have this little Irish football section now. Is it? That's what's winning it for him.
Yeah.
Nice.
Too right. Fair play, cuz.
We'll
Fair
keep
play.
we'll keep that going. We'll keep that going. If it's in demand, we'll keep it going. You
That's
never
it,
know. We
definitely for the run.
might do a show maybe for the last weekend of the season or something like that if it's dead close.
Yeah. If you want to do that, and I know a few of the former Shells lads, we can get one of them on. Maybe Richie Baker or someone like that. You know, come on and chat away. You know,
get a couple of lads on maybe to talk about it.
Well, I'll tell you, it just off the top of my head, if it was Shells and Derry going into the last game, you could do a preview with Richie Baker and Felix Healy.
Can you imagine? Get them on for a watch along.
Yeah.
We'd be cancelled.
That's it.
No doubt about it, yeah. But anyway, as always, folks, if you could like on the video, so important that you like on the video right down there. It's free. We don't charge. It's all good. And if you could subscribe to the channel as well and hit the bell notification. Pro Wrestling Weekly tomorrow at 8:30. The McMahon docu-series. Make sure you check it out. Thursday, I'm back with Darren for the last Thursday tier talk, I would imagine, because we're going into an international break, so we'll have to come up with something a bit more inventive as well. And we'll get Darren's thoughts as well. Darren will give us some of his thoughts on the trip and stuff like that, and all. He'll bring that bit of positivity back around again. He was struggling himself yesterday as well with how he felt about things and all, you know. And it's always tough when you go to a game. It's a real dagger when you don't get what you want, you know, especially with the kids. And that's it. So thanks for joining me as always.
Thanks
a pleasure
for
as always. And that Bruno was definitely a red for me. So with that, folks, enjoy the rest of your evening. Cheers.
Cheers, lads.